then we will call to order the meeting of the Airport Commission at 4:02 p.m. in this beautiful new room of Project Next. Looks very amazing, and we're very honored to have our first meeting in this room today. We will now ask our commissioner attending remotely to please acknowledge his presence.
Chip Mason.
Thank you, Chip. We move on to item 2, which is the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the contents of the agenda as proposed?
So moved.
There's moved by Al. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded by Andrew. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we have an agenda. Item 3 is public forum. I do not see anyone in the room. Jesse has let me know there's nobody online, so we close down public forum. We'll move on to item 4, which is the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the contents of the consent agenda as proposed?
So moved.
That is moved by Al, seconded by Andrew. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for that. We move on to 5, which is an action item, and it's a jam-packed action item, so please bear with me. I'd be willing to entertain a motion to approve the memo as presented in our agenda packet pertaining to the following items, all related to Project Next. 1, a contract amendment with Engelberth Construction. 2, a contract amendment with Jacobs Engineering Group. 3, execution of an additional FAA grant. And 4, a budget neutral amendment of $4.48 million. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
That's moved by Al. Is there a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, thank you, Chip. Discussion to be led by Nick.
Actually, Larry's gonna.
Oh, Larry's gonna do it. Okay.
So at the beginning of this project that we're sitting in now, we were awarded $34 million or Senator Leahy got us congressionally directed spending of $34 million. When we signed the first contract to move this project forward, we knew that we were starting with the building, and then we're going to be adding jet bridges, and we were going to add the second floor renovation and all that type of stuff. Okay, we come to, and we knew we had bipartisan infrastructure legislation, airport infrastructure grants that are also available to us, like entitlement dollars. So we knew when we got into this, we could continue to build on that from the original smaller project to make sure the entire project got done. But it's been done over the last several years. Okay, so with that, I'll talk about the grant first. So this will be the last formal grant we will be receiving for this project, which within this grant, the majority of it includes the final renovation of the second floor that connects this to the project, the TIP project we did a few years ago. Another portion of this project is when we put in gate 1. We decided we wanted 3 positions, and because of that, rather than leave bituminous pavement, when it gets hot, we're playing sand into that. So we did concrete, so that's included in this. Also, what's included was within this project, the only challenge, the only hiccup we really had, big hiccup we had was the geothermal system. We hit geology that was never anticipated with all the other aspects or other locations that this has been done on the site, on the air guard or even beta, they didn't hit what we hit. The geology was different. The casings had to be different. They drilled 1 well to test. It worked out just like the rest of the airport. When they started drilling, there were areas they couldn't use, and they had to keep moving. So there was some additional costs than I anticipated with regard to the geothermal wells. And also because of that, there were some changes to the mechanical portions of the stuff in the building. So that's the large part of the $4 million grant. Some other miscellaneous things that we changed along the way. The agreement with Jacobs Engineering Group that we're asking for, I believe it's like a $150,000 increase over what was approved before. A large share of that was the re-engineering and stuff that we had to do because of the geothermal fields and stuff like that. So, which is, 150 over 5.4 million dollars, it's a small portion. With respect to Engelberg, that change order just reflects the way we went about this project, unfortunately, when we're gonna get money, okay? We couldn't sign that first agreement with Engelberg, because, we signed the first one, but we knew we were gonna continue to make adjustments when we were adding. Okay, we started existing terminal removal, well, that's coming last, but the new terminal constructions, separate grant was the new passenger board bridges, the apron improvements for the passenger boarding bridge A1 and the existing second floor renovation. So all that combined. Now, I did say that this will be the last grant. However, if when this all falls off, when we find final closure and final eligibility and finish all this project, if there are other items that we have in here that are eligible, there is potential for us to seek money like entitlement to recoup that money if we need to. Of course, Marie and I and Nick and Matt, all of us have a lot of work to do to bring all this together with all the different grants. It's gonna be a heck of a project on this project, because all the grants that we've seen and the different projects. I hope I explained that well.
Thanks. What is the process for going back and getting the rest of those funds if necessary?
So what we do, actually, for every project, you go through a scoping session with the FAA, right? They accept your scope, okay? Then what you do is, we design, permit, all that type of stuff, and then build. And what we have to do is, these chunks of money will only worth about $4 million a year for the AIG stuff, okay? Although we didn't spend all our money in the first year of this 5-year period, so there was some money left over. So each year we have to apply, even though the money's there, it's designated for us, we have to apply each year, and they're due April 15th, which, however, as you'll see in my report, we already applied for, and the application is complete for this last $1 million. And it's moved into where it's going to be issued already. Even though we usually, our deadline is April 15th, we're ahead of that. But I'll be honest, I'm a little bit behind. I wouldn't be doing this in December, but just the way things worked out with construction, we had to make sure we knew what we were doing. We have to apply every year. This is our last year of AIG monies. That's gone away. All of it will be that we know of right now is entitlement, actually discretionary, and congressional goods, and that money don't.
Which we've applied for that as well. Yeah, and all of this is on our capital improvement plan. So all of this we review annually through what's called the ACIP meeting, the annual capital improvement program with the FAA. We talk about the AIG funds, which is through Bill, the bipartisan infrastructure law. This is year 5 of 5, like Larry said, final year. Entitlement funds are exactly that. We're entitled to get those. Those are a calculation based on the passenger numbers that we have here, generally about $3.8-ish million a year. And discretionary, we compete nationally for. We do pretty dang good every single year, and we'll keep pushing.
So this should wrap up the project in terms of money, unless we're closing out, there's other eligible items that we can go back and get that might not have been earlier. So so this is closing out this project from accessing existing monies.
Great, thank you, Larry, thank you, Nick. Commissioners, any questions on this action item? Chip, did you have something?
No, I just, from a tech IT perspective, Larry is very hard to hear compared to you and Nick. I don't know what, but just be cognizant of that. I don't know if town meeting or whatever, channel 17 is also has an issue.
We have we'll get another speaker too, Chip. That's good
Great.
feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, if there are no other comments from commissioners, we'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, carries. We move on to item 6, which is the financial update from Marie, or no, actually Nick, you're gonna lead it, but I see Nick and Marie on the screen.
Well, we're gonna tag team it because we weren't sure if Marie was gonna have cell service, but it looks like you are good, Marie.
I have cell service.
Right.
So yeah,
You-
I can kick this off. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but I just want to be clear for the record, you are not driving, you're in the passenger seat.
I am not driving. No, I am in the passenger side. Just for record, safety. I apologize if you hear any. We're stuck around Washington DC and we're, getting directions. I should say it's telling us what to do. So we're stuck in traffic. So this month before you, what you have is you have all of the February statements. I have the same.
We lost you, Marie.
No.
What?
We lost you.
Oh, you lost me. Oh, anyway, I'm going to make this short and sweet. You have the financial package in front of you. It's similar to other months, and I don't know if anybody has any specific questions on this or anything else that we have going on.
All right, commissioners, anything for Marie?
Not at this time.
All right.
We're doing really well as the button.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Marie,
In
for
half a
carving out
mile,
time,
take
appreciate
exit
it.
19A for US 50 toward Annapolis.
All right, that wraps up item 6 and move to 7, which is construction update from Zachary.
Okay, so just a couple of quick updates. The Cargo Apron construction project is out to bid. Bids are due this Thursday. Once we have those bids and we finish our the estimates for our engineering services to support construction, in Madison, she's doing it this year. Madison is applying for that grant this year for this project, so she's taking their call. So that'll go in by, it's all dated April 15th, ready to go as soon as we get the final numbers into the grant. SRE building, bids were received. We had 3 bidders. The low bid was Ingleworth Construction, and we're moving forward with both the financial aspects of this project right now, and in hopes to be back before you with more information and approvals to move forward to construction in a few months.
And just a little bit more on that, to prepare the commission. We've talked about this in the past, I believe, with you, in open session, but we will be accessing or requesting a lease financing on this particular building. And that's snow removal equipment storage facility, which would be literally, you can see it out the window, on the north side of our entire, area.
The next update is, we'd like to call, centralize the de-icing facility that will in turn, collect and recycle, propylene glycol. We're still waiting the siting study from the FAA for their blessing. And I think we talked about this before. We are gonna pause accepting an entitlement for a couple of years. So the 3rd year out, we have the monies to do that project. So that's kind of our CIP as we know it right now, unless there's other ways of funding it sooner. So moving that forward. Big one for it, not big one, I want to get it done. Project next year. We already went through that. We're applying for the final grant. Already applied. Actually, we spoke to the FAA today. That's being moving forward for process for issuance of the grant. All that's technically complete and hopefully ready to be issued. I think the congressional delegation has already said it's moving forward for us. The only other thing I have on the construction report is the obstruction removal project and easement acquisition. We had our scoping session with the FAA on that. Our consultant, based on that, is drafting up the scope, the final scope, so we can move forward with that, and then eventually get the trees removed. That's all I have on the construction report for today. Any other questions?
Thank you, Larry. Commissioners, any questions for Larry?
Larry.
All right, so we will move on to item 8, which is the RSIP update. Also.
Okay, just to the last page, we are finished design of 37 units for the residential sound installation program. We are going out to bid by April 4th or April 14th. And we expect bids in early May. Our goal is to start construction on those 37 homes in July. Because of the amount of money we received, might take up like half of it. We have a second package that's being designed now. That we will go out to bid later this calendar year, that will be constructed next year. The reason there's two bid packages is because when we set out to do this project, there were certain requirements for acoustical testing before. Well, they changed midstream, so we had to pause that, and we had so much time, so we had to go back out, do the additional acoustical testing to move the rest of the package forward. So then on, phase 6, okay. We had a scoping session with the FAA on phase 6, which will be outreach to 300 more units. Will also include 50 units more for design. So when we go for a grant next year with the FAA, we're going to shoot for a 50 unit package again after doing this 37 plus probably not, maybe another 37 with the OLDCC. Potentially do another 50 next year. So that's what this grant application will include. The estimates being done by an independent consultant with the scope. Once we get that, the fee from the consultant that's actually doing the work, we compare that to make sure that's the way we do it, to make sure it's consistent and there's a it's fair. So that's going on right now. Can I say that? All right, so that's all I got. It does for the questions.
All right, thank you, Larry. Commissioners, anything for Larry on this stuff?
No.
All right. Flying right along, we move to item 9, which is the director's report.
So I was contemplating reading my speech from yesterday and redoing everything associated with yesterday. And even literally just sitting here listening to the conversation, how much of a historical moment this very second is right now for you as a commission. This is, as I mentioned in my remarks yesterday, the largest single capital project in the history of this airport. And we are now sitting in the room that we are having our very first public meeting, and really the largest meeting that we've ever had in this room. Well, we did have a couple of smaller meetings in here, but it's emotional and pretty exciting to be sitting here with the team and with the commission in this very space. So thank you all very much for all your support in making this happen. We had, of course, a monumental day yesterday, March 31st, 2026, as we opened up our brand new terminal building. One of the amazing parts of the marketing team, Jeff and his amazing team, we hit national news, not just like local news. We're in Hawaii, we're in Alabama, we're in Wyoming. I saw it in Texas. This is a huge deal, not just for our airport, but really beyond our airport. Even the excitement today as we're walking through the hallways, people are, looking around as if they're a little bit confused in the North Concourse. Where is your gate? Well, we're at gate 15. Well, that's the other side of the airport. No, we know where gate 15 is. We want to go check out the next airport. And there's a lot of folks coming up just behind me downstairs to the new kids zone and the fireplace room. And American Airlines has been absolutely amazing getting our new systems and new programs in place. We've now had close to a dozen, maybe even more, aircraft come and go throughout the terminal. All of them really American Airlines. We have one that will pull in just a little while here. So it is working. It is exactly what we needed. Even when it's a light traffic, there's still people hanging out in the spaces, and certainly on those 100+ seat aircraft, it is busy down there, which is really, really exciting. As Larry mentioned in his report, getting the next phases of Project Next online which is really gates 3 and 4 that'll happen over the summer. Pushing through the second floor of the terminal building, knocking down the old terminal, which is technically offline right now. There is no active operations happening there, but now we're just kind of recycling and removing all of the old stuff and tech and cameras from the old gates 3, 4, 5, and 6. But that is no longer operational. We don't have the crammed in space anymore. But it was really, really exciting. Super, super happy with how everything turned out. And the team right here in this room, the last couple of weeks have been extremely stressful. Long nights, lots of long days and nights. We are, aiming cameras with Dave and his team, making sure the alarms work, making sure not only the event, but everybody knows how to get to this new location with Jeff's team, Larry, Madison. Probably the most important part of it is making sure we have a certificate of occupancy, which they're, Larry's so relaxed over there. It's nice. And then Jesse, yeah. Jesse making sure we're all pulled together. Marie, of course, on the road, but we couldn't have done it without Marie and her expertise and precision with what she does every single day. This is huge. It was huge. It is huge, and we're going to keep going. One thing that you'll see in there is that staff appreciation lunch. I like to share those with the commission. Of course, leading up to the official opening, which was yesterday, we had a bunch of different events. We had a friends and family night, which was very successful. That was a week and a half-ish ago. On Saturday last week, we had a really, really strong turnout with about 400 people that showed up opening, so it wasn't a security area, but it was an absolutely amazing event. We had a ton of great feedback, really stress testing the building, making sure upstairs work, making sure the bathrooms work, all that good stuff. Last Thursday, we also had this staff appreciation lunch, which you can see in the image was actually in the terminal. I really wanted a long table where we're all sitting at together, enjoying a lunch. These are the 60 or so folks that work here every day. Ambassadors, our operations team, our maintenance team, they don't get into the details like we do all of the time. But we can't do it without them, of course. What they do every day allows us to do everything that we need to for the future, and that's incredible. So we shared a really amazing lunch with them just last week, and we're online. We're good. Everything's working well. The computers are working well. The jet bridges are working well. I don't even need to knock on wood, because I'm that confident in the team and what they can do and how they can solve everything that comes their way when it will, which it will. But that's what we're really, really good at. Before I keep going, I'll be happy to answer any questions about the terminal, whatever's on your mind, if there are.
I know it's really early, but like you were collecting feedback, I came on Saturday, you were collecting feedback on Saturday. What's sort of like the top line of feedback that you got from people?
Restaurants, more food options, a lot of, most of it was incredibly positive, which we were also expecting, and not to pat ourselves on the back a little bit, just pat ourselves on the back, but we should. But these are the folks that signed up ahead of time to be at those events, right? They wanted to be there. But they, making sure there's enough outlets. We had some comments on some of our seating that there was not enough outlets, so we kind of rearranged that a little bit. I don't know what else kind of stuck at, but
Is restaurants, in terms of that feedback, is that an adaptable thing that you sort of built into the design where you have some flexibility to address over time?
in the long run, yes, we don't need all that lounge space. We need more amenities. So in the future, we'll have to be creative. Right now, the way we built this, the way we funded it, that square footage is federally funded and cannot be used for concession space. But there's always a future and there's always avenues that we can approach, for whether it's a restaurant or another concession area. So.
No, it's great. Have you had non-able-bodied folks come into the space of St. Nicholas today and make sure that it's not just like ADA accessible,
Yeah.
but to the point, right, like whether it's, yeah, I was just thinking, right, because I was, I don't want to assume that everyone on the commission is able-bodied. I'm an able-bodied person, but I was just thinking the idea that like, have you worked either with like local disability justice organizations or, right, the idea that like, how is the airport able, right, I was just thinking of like, a friend of mine in the disability justice world just had her motorized wheelchair absolutely demolished by Delta, which is not obviously like an airport thing, but the idea that like when a disabled person, particularly if you're using a motorized wheelchair, or if you are in a wheelchair, how can we as an airport ensure that you are being able to seamlessly travel? And that can mean like if you are in a wheelchair, if you use a cane, if you use a walker. Also, it can mean like if you are a parent who uses a stroller, right? Like how are we ensuring that if you are traveling, that it is seamless from the moment that you get out of your car or park your car to the moment that you board that flight?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, yeah, I'll let Jeff speak in just a second. There's always things that we're looking at, whether we're talking about early design efforts to make sure it's accessible, right? That a simple one is an observation area. Our old observation area is 100% not accessible. It is a staircase and that's it. And then Jeff and his team over the last year have put together a really cool program to help with hidden disabilities and connect with other airports as well. And I bet you that's what he was. What's up?
Oh, that's great. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Yes, we do belong to some hardware, very early adopter anyway for it. And we get 2 or 3 requests a month maybe for that. And we're trying to up the cadence promoting it. But what we are embarking on is through Airport Council International AAA and accessibility foundation. And that's requiring a pretty intense inventory of what we're doing. Really started a month ago. And the project next time is, but the point is, put on our website, all of our ramps, the bathrooms, everything that. And then from there, there's a baseline, then what are we doing to improve it, and there's 3 different levels of it. We could, in theory, get through all of them if we're already doing it, but we're at a baseline right now. It's not just about project next. We potentially are waiting 2 weeks here because we have to do the accreditation, we're doing the entire, including the park production.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's all I have to say about Project Next. For now.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
You said a lot yesterday.
Yes,
It's a wonderful thing.
It was a nice way.
well, to the team, as I started practicing, what I was going to say and thinking about what I was going to say, getting a lot of help on what I was going to say. My original speech was about 30 minutes. You're welcome. I take it.
Good job, team.
It's a lot of it's a lot of what? Thank you. Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of people too, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I'm gonna put Dave on the spot, but he just came back with his team from the American Association of Airport Executives Northeast Chapter Conference in Hershey.
Sure, yeah. So we went out to Hershey, Pennsylvania, with Marcus there, and we have it every year. It's a AAA Northeast Chapter puts it together. It's in conjunction with FAA as well. Very good conference where we go into more technical aspects of the airports. And the FAA was actually there. We had a conference call. We actually stood up in front of people and asked a question about one of the initiatives is the drone detection. And one of the challenges there, drone detection, yeah. And one of the challenges that airports have right now is the funding for the systems. So I asked the question of the FAA, but she will look into that and of definitely whether or not they can fund the potential systems that the person needs. One of which, the discussion was how it has to do with surface wireless. Of course, we had the question happened down at the Burlington. That we have ago, but that, some of the stuff was actually, it is an FAA concern, actually this airport. We're getting what's called the Surface Awareness Initiative. What that is that air traffic control will be able to see the ground vehicles as well as the aircraft as they travel on the ground. And that is ADSB, basically out from the aircraft and the vehicles that gets received by a receiver, and they're able to see it in the actual tower. You see the exact location of the vehicles and the aircraft. So especially critical with for visibility and just an additional tool for that. Larger airports have something very similar. It's a radar-based system, but this is strictly ADSB, which is basically that system is basically a box, a unit in each one of the vehicles for the aircraft that transmits via GPS and basically the GPS coordinates and it translates it to that receiver for another aircraft users that they can basically see each other without the need for radar. So that was covered during the conference. About pavement, legislative updates, SMS safety management systems, which is really big for the FAA right now, big initiative push together other airports to fully implement safety management systems, which we've been working with the FAA. We had a plan that was approved about a year ago. It's a matter of the steps to get it fully implemented. So that's pretty much about it. It's a 3-day conference, a lot of the technical oriented things, but very useful for Alex and myself, Stacy, and Andrew, both of the managers with me. And yeah, a good conference. So good. It's better.
We have a couple of other conferences coming up. Some of Dave's team and our team will be going over to Buffalo for a snow symposium. This is also a national conference to kind of share ideas on snow operations as well as equipment technology.
It's actually also that we're sending folks out for it's called Snow Canyon, and like two different steps in that, two different levels of Snow Academy. It's going for the second part. So once they get that, they have we call our course snow experts. They can actually prove it and it looks to be wrong. So it's been
Snow expert.
But a lot of it is planning, snow equipment, things like that. And tend to be an issue, but yeah, great symposium to go through.
Jeff and I are on the road in June. We're going to be in Chicago, going to a conference called Jumpstart, which is where we're able to meet with many airline partners. We don't know yet who we're going to be meeting with because it takes some coordination through the conference on who's meeting with who. But usually it's going to be our legacy carriers or our incumbent carriers, see how we're doing, what we can do better, what more we can, what more routes we can serve, what additional aircraft we can serve, and there's always new ones on that list that we meet with as well. And we have exciting updates for them, and I think it's going to be a very positive year. We like to go to airline headquarters, but since COVID, they kind of slowed that down pretty significantly. Actually visiting headquarters, but we meet often with planners. Now, planners, April 9th, we actually have the corporate real estate folks from airlines coming on site. This will be from Breeze, Delta, American, and United, and we're going to be negotiating even further our airline contract with them, what spaces they lease, to how much we charge per 1,000 pounds of landing weight on our runway. It's a complicated lease negotiation that we've been probably discussing at least for a year and a half, 2 years, and hoping to kind of come to some agreements on that relatively soon. And then the final part of the presentation is just some stats to leave you with. You can see our scheduled commercial departures happening throughout the rest of this calendar year. Compared to other years, you can also see our seat capacity in the next slide. We're a little bit down in the first half of this year. This is seat capacity. In this particular slide, if you look at the light blue line and the dashed line, which is the projection for the rest of the year, quickly goes back up and we exceed even last year for the remaining part of, I think, every single month for the remaining part of the year after April. But the passenger numbers are still really high. So even though our seat capacity is low, you can see right now we only have January and February final numbers, but both of them are very consistent with last year's numbers. And as you look at our projections, which is only 80% of the seat capacity or 80% filled seats, you can see we're looking at projections of, again, a very high year. Last year we ended just shy of 720,000 outbound passengers. This year 750. Again, we're still very early in the year. Just a reminder, 2008 was our highest year. 2008, 2009, our highest year at 755. 759. We are getting really close. We're getting really close. We really hope to have a successful jumpstart now. Airlines are already picking stuff up. Detroit is picking up speed. Chicago has larger aircraft. Houston will start nonstop May 23rd. Sun Country has extended their service this year already. They start in June to Minneapolis, St. Paul. They're always seasonal. They're going to go through December now. Usually they end a couple months earlier than that. American's picking up a larger aircraft as much as they can. American actually tried to get us an Airbus A320 for the DCA flight yesterday, but we couldn't quite make it happen. But yeah, it's looking positive. Again, those numbers will fluctuate. They'll go up and down. Things change, especially 3+ months from there. So conservatively, we're looking at between 720 and 750, if that's a fair range. But right now, we can share 755,000 projected passengers.
Nick, have you seen any impacts from the TSA funding issue on people not flying or deferring flights? Has there been an impact? You might not see it in this, but you see it more broadly.
Yeah, that's hard to answer. I would say my immediate reaction would be no. We did have a couple of long days during the shutdown. Some of our wait times in the morning was 55 minutes. I get an alert every time there's a wait time over 20 minutes. And we got 3 alerts over the last 40 days. And some of those were like 47 minutes. But not all related to call outs, not all related to fear of shifting floats and things like that, right? That's a hard data point to capture. Some of it was tech issues, some of it was one day was actually our fault for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes of time. But as the months go on, we might see that very similar to the last shutdown, where maybe we saw people not booking holiday travel or things like that, which the shutdown that happened in October. So those November, December numbers kind of shifted a little bit for us. But to specifically say that was the reason, that's extremely difficult to have from.
Maybe a related question I had prior that I wanted to ask. The fact that you've only had a few moments, like 45-minute or longer waits.
Yeah.
Is there room or an opportunity for the airport to share externally, given the news of the day, the fairly impressive statistics around the wait times? I mean, a friend recently took a picture of the wait time and there was not a second person in line.
Yeah.
When they came, and is it worth the airport more proactively sharing that 99% of the time it's under 20 minutes, because the public might have a sense that, they're seeing Denver, Houston, Atlanta. Is there a way for the airport to, I don't know, maybe?
I'll answer that with 2 hats on.
Yeah.
One, I would say, I want you to come here 2 hours early. I want you to enjoy the terminal. I want you to buy a coffee. I want you to experience what we have to offer. By not to say that we wouldn't share that because our average wait time is 4 to 7 minutes. The average, right? All yeah, all hours of the day, right? So you know, if you're a frequent traveler, right, people cut real close when they come into this airport. So maybe if we start tracking your travel, your app would say it's a 90-minute wait time, so that you get here.
Personalized.
But you know, other airports do it, other airports display it on their websites if there's a wait time, X amount of time, et cetera. And it's a possibility. I think there's some coordination with TSA that we have to, we have to do that, because we don't, it's not like we're out there with a stopwatch tracking.
Sure, I mean, could you not say, we still recommend you show up 2 hours early?
Yeah.
But it's a chance to draw people into the airport to say, look, don't defer your travel, we can do this, and we're doing it just fine, even with the.
You know,
funding.
you have a great point too on actually the opposite. A lot of people during the shutdown came really early, 2, 3, 4 hours early. And that actually exacerbated the issue much further, not just at our airport, but others. Because now your peak hour where you're expecting passengers at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden was double that. And that was a huge issue because you know, our TSA lanes can process about 150 people per hour. So that they program that, and they program staffing based on estimated number of passengers, based on about an average, you know, 120 to 60 minute, you know, rather early time. So that could actually help on the flip side of things by saying, don't worry too much. There is not a wait time. You can still be here between 60 minutes and a bit, it'll be fine.
During this time, every day I was going to the hospital media, asking those guys, we're fine. And we will have a rush in the morning. We have 5 o'clock, 5:30 flight, so everybody's lining up, we're getting the picture because TSA hasn't opened that exactly 4 o'clock. Everything, so we try to not, and this is a problem nationally, because CNN, I watched the other day, and they had 4-hour wait time, maybe 3-hour, just fed into, you know, base area. And so I was like, here, Vermont, please don't publish that. If you were at 2 hours early, you're gonna be fine.
TSA did an incredible job locally here. Very little call outs. They showed up. The community showed up as well.
I looked into it.
We did a food pantry. We did, you know, they obviously had very strict guidelines on what can be donated to a federal agency. But they were there and they were processing. And not only that, even despite people showing up early, we had a very busy couple of weeks, you know, month and a half almost, of passengers going through specifically the 4 to 6 a.m. flight slots, almost as busy as our October numbers, which if you remember was the highest month in the history of the airport at just over 80,000 outbound passengers. But those hours were busy. TSA agents actually, oh, you can't do that because I'm gonna keep looking behind. This is why I put us on this side. TSA volunteers.
Yeah.
Now that's a public record that she's on. TSA volunteered to open earlier. So they were opening at about 3:40, 3:45 a.m., which is really the first time I've ever seen them open that early. We are talking to them about opening a little bit early because there's now multiple flights at 5:10, 5:20, 5:30 a.m. So as we're advertising, show up 2 hours early. If you're on that flight, you can't go anywhere.
And it's not just TSA, the body screening portion of it, it's the baggage portion as well. If they don't start screening those into them.
And
I love to learn about logistics.
Yeah, there's a lot here.
Right. So security doesn't open till 4 a.m. Or I guess on any day.
Any day.
Any
Yep.
day before a.m.
Yep. Generally, the airlines won't staff their counters until about 2 hours prior to the flight to each airline has their own procedures for that. So even those folks that were worried and showing up 3+ hours early, the airlines weren't even taking their bags yet, to do its screening and put it in the back room. But we're feeling really good right now. There's a lot of changes. The agency has been paid now. We are no longer accepting donations. We, meaning they, no longer can accept donations. But again, we did a fantastic job as a group to help and spread the word, receive and donate all those funds. We did ourselves as well as an airport. I did authorize some spending on meals and things like that we could go with. Unless you want me to keep talking about Project Next, that's okay.
Good.
Nick, not to drag you into national issues on another issue, but I'm curious if there's some concern, in light of war and, I'm seeing all these articles about rising, fuel costs, airlines having to, start to bump up fares. I don't know if we've hit that point yet, but everything I'm reading is, it is going to happen, and it could be. I'm assuming, without data in front of me, that, when rates at a certain point, business drops, so potentially, despite our forecast and everything you're doing, you could be subsumed, or your efforts, by what's happening on a national or international level.
Yeah, that's right. I think, numbers that we've heard, although not necessarily right here at this airport, but jet fuel costs have significantly gone up, maybe even doubled.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a big concern. That is something we're watching. In that June conference, when we're sitting with the airlines, we get a lot more feedback, not just on the network side of things, network planning side of things, but also some of the expenses and the costs for the airlines associated with their routes. So I think we'll have a much better understanding of how that's going to impact them. Airlines do fuel here in Burlington, but a lot of times they also fuel at their major hubs, which they get better pricing sometimes just because of our physical location. But yeah, that's a great point, and something we definitely have to monitor and will impact some of our projections if it goes on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, but that's a good question.
Mr. Nick, were you complete with your?
I was completely.
All right. All right. Anything else for Nick before we move on? All right, move on to item 10, commissioner items. I did not receive any in advance, but there are any topics that commissioners wish to discuss at this time.
We just want to play the video that we played yesterday.
Sure.
Just so the public can see it. It's on CCTV.
Okay.
And whenever you're ready.
Do it now.
I've never shared a video on Super Simple for this one. Say Google says it can.
And Chip and Andrew didn't see it. Yeah, an amazing marketing video that right before we dropped the curtain yesterday on the new building. The team put this together.
Is this what you emailed out? Was
Oh, probably.
in newsletter?
Yeah,
It's also on socials.
a lot. Yeah.
I can, Chip, can you do a thumbs up if you hear it going? Okay. Do we have line on here? Can you hear it, Chip? Blind it, please.
It would have what you've heard for
Sorry, I can hear you. I couldn't hear anything from the video.
Is it muted on your screen, Jeff?
I just don't want to.
No.
Was it line open with the president? The line. It's on. Yes, that's really. Oh, it's not. Wow. Everything.
The microphone also to have on too. Right out them. Or a little, woman in STEM.
Share, that's tabs, the file.
Jeff, this is the same video, I'm just gonna email.
Yeah, let's try that. I don't, it's a sound that I don't think is gonna come through.
Sorry, I just want to get this on CC's movie. And
We're here to make-
it's a really good video.
It is, and we're gonna be on. We did it.
Jeff, Alex, Jim, and.
International Airport.
Figure it out. Do you hear that, Mason? Chip? Yeah. All right.
For generations, the Patrick Leahy Burlington International Airport has been more than a runway. It's been a gateway to opportunity, to family, to work, to discovery. From its beginnings as a simple cornfield to the dynamic transportation hub we know today, Leahy BTV reflects the spirit of this region, resilient, innovative, and connected to its people. Now, we stand at the precipice of change, a terminal redesigned not just for travel, but for experience. More welcoming, more efficient, more sustainable, more Vermont. A space built to serve today's travelers and tomorrow's aviation. But this project is more than a new terminal. It's a responsibility to what is right, to build something that serves people better for generations to come. Because when you arrive here, you're stepping into a future where sustainability and stewardship aren't afterthoughts. They're the standard. From carbon accreditations and sustainable jet fuels to electrified air service and operation vehicles, Leahy BTV paves the runway that flies into a green future. This airport belongs to the community it serves and to the future it inspires. At Leahy BTV, every journey begins with a story, and every story becomes part of ours. Our progress is powered by people. More flights means greater connectivity. Greater connectivity means greater opportunity for business, tourism, and regional growth. Each adventure ripples outward, strengthening our economy, expanding our reach, and inviting the world to discover Vermont. A mile of road will take you a mile, but a mile of runway will take you anywhere in the world. And this is just the beginning. With plans for a South Terminal redesign, Leahy BTV is building capacity for more connections and new possibilities. A place where commercial travel, electric aviation, and workforce development converge. Leahy BTV is boundless in vision, transcendent in purpose, visionary in execution. At the Patrick Leahy Burlington International Airport, you are not just arriving or departing. You are stepping into a story bigger than any one journey. A story of community, of stewardship, of innovation, of possibility.
Which is playing on a loop in your house.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I'm like, watch this again. My daughter was in.
That's what I was just Chip has a question.
Was there a casting call or an audition that I missed the email to? What's happening? I saw Helen, I saw everyone. That was great. Wonderfully
Yeah.
done, Jeff.
Yeah.
Mile of road. That's gonna be on.
Be honest, did you come up with that or did someone else?
No, I did not come up with it, but I've been saying it now for, a year or two maybe. I heard it at a conference somewhere and it was an anonymous one, so, yeah. It's a good one.
It's,
a good one.
it's too good and true not to have been used before, no question.
All right, so commissioners, any items you wish to discuss? All right, move on to item 11, which is follow-up items. I believe we had this, the AI piece,
That's
that's not on the agenda.
Oh, it should be, yeah.
Oh, was it?
AI, presentation and conversation is still future.
Future,
Yeah.
just so they don't see it on follow-up items, just make sure you lose sight of that.
Yep.
So there are no other follow-up items on the agenda. Commissioners, are there any items that you've heard about today that you would like to have future follow-up on by the airport?
No.
Okay, good. Move on to item 12, which is adjournment. Do we hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Mr. Biohouse, second by Andrew, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.